I am watching so many of us just literally give away our power. Like, you get one, you get one, you get one. It's literally driving me crazy. I think I've just been watching too much reality TV and seeing a lot of specifically women of color just handing their power to someone else and then getting pissed off when that person abuses it. This is going to be some very necessary tough love on how to take back your power, or better yet, how to never give it up to begin with. What's up, baddies? I'm Rima, and this is the Arab and Thriving Show. Today, we're going to talk about how to just be a powerful baddie, how to not give your power away. You are not a victim. You are not a victim. When I was growing up, I met this one girl. She was an older Arab girl, thought she was so cool, and she kind of took me in and she started telling me a lot of stories about her personal life. I noticed something that was a huge red flag for me. And every single story, one after the next, there was always this perfectly curated villain who was out to get her success professionally and academically, out to get her in a relationship, out to get her because they were jealous of her and how she looked. And at 16, I called BS. And personally couldn't really trust her. I liked her. She was a nice person, but I felt like, if I hang out with you long enough, at some point, if I don't get in line with you, I might just end up as another villain in your story with you being the victim. And I'm just not here for that. I don't want to be around energy where somebody is constantly looking at certain dynamics in a way where they were done wrong too. When you play victim, when you see a story and you see yourself as the victim, you are literally powerless. You are literally helpless. And that's why I just cannot get down with that. There are literal moments in life where you are being victimized. I'm not talking about a moment where there's a clear abuser and victim dynamic. I'm talking about your everyday moments. You have a breakout on your face. You do not make as much money as you want to make. A friendship goes awry. Those are moments where I don't really think there's a clear victim and abuser. I don't think there's a very clear villain hero dynamic. And if you do choose to see the world that way, the crazy part is you will find a way to make yourself the victim. If you are someone whose ego is so bruised that you constantly want to see yourself as the victim, I just want you to know you're not hurting the so-called villain. They don't lose anything by you calling yourself the victim. If anything, you are giving them, handing them all of the power in that situation. So again, if it is a friend who you maybe kind of parted ways with and you're painting this person as a villain, if it's a breakup that you went through and you're painting your ex as the villain, you are handing them over all of the power and telling them, here you go, this is all yours. I'm helpless, I'm powerless. And guess what? Breaking up with them, moving on from them, whatever it is that they so-called did to you, you are not really going to put yourself in a position to recover from that. So it's really a lose-lose for you. It's really a lose-lose. And 99% of the time, you are not fully the victim. There are things that you probably could have done to get out of that situation earlier, or to just look at the current situation as something that you can be grateful for. When you stop choosing to see the world that way, where you are the victim, you step out of a place of entitlement and into a place of non-attachment and gratitude. Literally, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. This is something I'm going to keep repeating. I know it sounds very harsh, but it is very true. And I truly believe that 90% of my happiness in life comes from this belief that nobody owes me anything. God does not owe me anything. God does not owe me a good, happy life. I owe me that. I owe me a perspective that makes me feel good when I wake up. But nobody owes you anything, and you are not entitled to anything from anybody. I think a lot of our heartache, our pain, our disappointment, our resentment comes from feeling like someone else owes you something and you were done an injustice to. You had this entitlement around how things should have happened or how things should have gone. And now you harbor a lot of anger and resentment. If you are wondering if you're someone who has entitlements, look at your feelings, your triggers. Do you feel angry or resentful at somebody? Are you holding some sort of animosity towards a person or a situation? Maybe you lost a loved one and you feel like you haven't fully healed, but more so than just not fully healing, you carry some anger around how that situation went down. That is a huge sign that you feel entitled to a different outcome. And just like playing victim, entitlements only hurt you. Honestly, like for whatever reason, I grew up scared that my dad was going to die. I've talked about this before. I had this fear in the back of my head that it would happen. And I think that fear really was because my dad used to smoke a lot. So it was always this possibility that we might lose him. So I would kind of play that scenario in my head growing up. And I was positive that I would be angry at the world, angry at God, or maybe refusing to believe in God, just very resentful, very in denial, all of these negative emotions that were just going to sit in my body. That's how I truly thought I would have handled it. When the inevitable ended up happening, and when my worst fear, basically, like literally my worst fear, came to life, I was shocked with the way that I actually handled it. I had my most grateful, joyous moments in the aftermath of his death. And obviously, it's not because I felt grateful for him dying or joyous about him dying. I was extremely heartbroken. I was completely covered in grief. But for some reason, I just didn't feel angry or entitled to things happening otherwise. It really solidified my belief in God. It really solidified that I have so much faith that even when this terrible thing happened, I didn't feel like something was happening to me. I didn't feel like I was taking it personally. I didn't feel as though God was doing something unjust towards me. And that really revealed to me that I'm a person that does not feel entitled to anything. It opened me up to be grateful for everything. So instead of being upset that I didn't get to spend more time with my dad, instead of being angry that years later my dad wouldn't get to meet my husband, instead of thinking of all of the moments and just harping on those, of course they come up. Of course I think about them. I don't feel entitled to them. So instead, what it did is it made me feel grateful for what I did have. Like, wow, I had 24 years with this amazing man. And not only was it the years that I had with him, I had a dad that, like, I honestly can't even imagine a better father than what I had. So although some may look at it and feel like I had a short period of time with him, I feel like I'm so lucky to even have someone worthy of missing. I remember that was the line that kept playing in my head when I missed him. I would honor that feeling. Yeah, I'm not gaslighting myself. Like, I, of course, miss him. Of course, I'm sad, but I just focused on feeling so lucky to have somebody worthy of being sad about. And that, my friends, was just the moment where I'm like, man, I really am a faithful person. I really am a grateful person. And I really want to stress that that was like a light switch choice. I chose to look at that time period as something to be grateful for. I chose to look at what I had and even my grief journey as one where I was so grateful for the way things played out, because it can always be worse. And I know that because I know I'm not entitled to things happening the way that they happened. I really want to urge you with anything that you're going through right now, where you feel upset with how it's playing out, just remind yourself that you are not entitled to a different outcome. You are not entitled to any of that. You can create that. You can pursue that. You can want that. But when things happen a different way, try to focus on that gratitude. Try to be open to that gratitude. Only you are in charge of making sure you live a good life. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So the good news there is that you have a good life right now if you want to see it that way. There are so many beautiful, amazing, wonderful things about this exact moment where we're talking that you can embrace and you can feel grateful for. Stop blaming other people. Stop blaming other things. Stop blaming your circumstances. The number one way to just hand over your power to someone else and be powerless is to have no accountability. This is literally my least favorite quality in any other human being. This is like goes hand in hand with playing victim. If you are someone who struggles to know where you could have done better, where you could have been better, where you were wrong, you are giving away your power because you are blaming things on other circumstances that you can't control. So think about this. Something goes wrong between you and somebody else. And instead of focusing on what you could have done better to A, either not be in that situation, or B, handle that situation better if that was even a possibility, you're blaming someone whose actions you literally can't control. It's a cop-out. It's a scapegoat. It is your ego's way of not taking any accountability and essentially rendering yourself powerless because you have no power over that person. One area that I was doing this was with my weight. I constantly told myself, well, when you lose this amount of weight, you'll be happy. When you lose this amount of weight, you'll be able to feel more comfortable in your skin. You'll want to go out more. You'll feel comfortable when your family goes to the beach. It's when you get to that weight. I realized I was blaming my lack of gratitude, lack of presence, lack of confidence on my current body weight. Now, I know that that seems hard to challenge because it's like, I mean, yeah, duh. No, like it's really a feeling. I can create that feeling right now. So I had to hold myself accountable and stop blaming my current state on something in the future that I really can't control fully. I can't control when that's going to happen or how it's going to happen. So it was a scapegoat, and I had to hold myself accountable to being that person now, to channeling that confidence that I want to feel, to channeling that presence. I want to be able to be present with my family. I don't want to be so consumed by this thing. And so I had to hold myself accountable and stop giving my power away to this future self that I can't control that right now. I can't control how my body looks right in this moment. So how can I get my power back in this situation? And the way to always get your power back in this situation is ground yourself in exactly what you can do right now. And that is the core of accountability. Sure, things don't always go the way we want them to, but there is always a way for you to learn and grow from that situation. I just want us to be powerful. I want us to not be so loud in that power either. I want us to know it so well. I want us to know in our bodies so well that we exude that power, that we don't have that chip on our shoulder. I want us to show up in relationships knowing what we're worth and not having to convince someone about that. I want us to feel so convicted in who we are that we don't try to get someone else to see that. These are the kinds of dynamics that get us to a place where we do feel the need to play victim, where we do feel entitled and resentful, where we do feel like we can't hold ourselves accountable because our egos are so bruised. And now we're putting ourselves in a situation with someone who could be abusive or emotionally manipulative. And we're walking out of that situation as a more bruised person without realizing that we were the ones that put ourselves in that to begin with. I want us to know our power. I wrote this poem, and I'm going to leave you with this because I got to go. I'm going to get a massage and just chill out today. But the poem was something about stepping into the ring and feeling like I needed to fight. This was how I was when I was powerless, is feeling like I needed to fight, feeling defensive, feeling like I wanted to blame someone, feeling like I wanted to lash out on someone else for the things that I was upset or angry about. And I had this epiphany that that was my powerlessness, was feeling the need to get into that ring and fight regardless the outcome, whether I beat that person and I was right, physically beat them up or not, because this is obviously all a metaphor. I ain't getting no rings, fighting nobody. But regardless, my powerlessness was making me feel like I needed to put myself in those situations. And so the poem ended beautifully. I'm messing up the words, but power, real power comes from knowing when you should not even be stepping into that ring to begin with. Some fights, whether you win or lose, are a net lose for you. They're a net loss, regardless how that person's face looks by the end of that fight, whether they're bruised and scarred and, you're holding your hand up as a quote unquote champion. Sometimes just being in the ring with someone else is you giving away your power. Sometimes just being in the ring with certain mindsets or beliefs, even if you think you're beating those things, sometimes even entertaining those kinds of thoughts is you giving away your power. And so I want to leave you with the thought, sometimes true power comes from deciding not to step into that ring to begin with. And so I'd love to hear from you. What is it that you've been stepping into the ring with and fighting and grappling that is actually making you lose your power? What is something that you would be better off observing from outside, observing as a bystander and not stepping into the ring to begin with? I love you so much. This is something near and dear to my heart. It wasn't even something I just thought I was going to record. I just got on here and started blurting out thoughts around this because I'm just really sick of this. I'm sick of this genre. I'm sick of us enabling each other. I'm sick of us feeling like we're constantly powerless in these situations. We have so so, so much power. And honestly, one of my biggest goals is to make you see that and use that, because it is there and it's like there. You could switch it. It's there right now. It's there today. It's not coming in 10 years when you've accomplished all of your goals and dreams. It's not coming when you meet your person. It's literally here right now. And I need you to tap into it. Love you so much, Betty. I will see you on the next one.